Translated, this is what the 5,000-year-old ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs in Australia say. Referred to as the Gosford glyphs, the intricate set of symbols is believed to have been carved some 5,000 years ago by ancient Egyptians who visited Australia. Considered a hoax by many, and ultimate evidence of ancient Egyptian transoceanic voyages by others, the curious set of symbols has produced mixed views from researchers around the globe. One of the most controversial subjects in modern history is questioning whether advanced ancient civilizations, like the ancient Egyptian civilizations, managed to travel across the globe. According to numerous pieces of evidence, the ancient Egyptian civilization was extremely well developed, which allowed them to construct powerful transoceanic ships, which according to numerous authors, may have taken them not only to the American continent but to Australia as well. Remember that there was an article written by the Arizona Gazette that sensationally claimed how the Smithsonian Institute covered up the discovery of an ancient Egyptian colony in the Grand Canyon? Well, that's not the only surprise discovery it seems. There is also evidence that ancient Egyptian mummies contain traces of tobacco and cocaine in their DNA. This is controversial because if we look at history, these plants were exclusive to the American continent, and not to other parts of the world. Anyway, what is considered perhaps as the most controversial piece of evidence that supports the idea the ancient Egyptians made their way to different continents around the globe, are the so-called Gosford glyphs, located in Australia. First sighted in Australia in the 1900s, it is said that the enigmatic set of symbols carved on a massive rock has been present in local folklore more than a century. And while many scholars are convinced these supposed hieroglyphs are nothing more than a modern-day forgery, an archaeological joke, there are those who not only believe the hieroglyphs are real, but there are those who even manage to translate the message that is said to have been left behind by ancient Egyptian explorers more than 5,000 years ago. But modern Egyptologists note how there are many discrepancies when we look at the Gosford glyphs. In fact, Australian Egyptologist, Professor Nagib Kanawati firmly believes the intricate set of hieroglyphs they are not authentic, saying how ancient hieroglyphs within the same panels were of widely different periods in history and some of them were even carved backward. Furthermore, the National Parks and Wildlife Service maintains the engravings are not authentic, and a professor from Macquarie University's Ancient History Department, Boy Oakinga, shares the same views. It'd be wonderful but I'm afraid it's just not possible. First of all, the way they're cut is not the way ancient Egyptian rock inscriptions are produced, they're very disorganized, he said. There's also a problem with the actual shapes of the signs that are used. There's no way people would have been inscribing texts from the time of Cheops from the signs that weren't invented until 2,500 years later. That's a chronological discrepancy, he said. However, there are those who disagree with the above scholars and say the hieroglyphs are not only authentic but tell a story unlike any other. Interestingly, claims that said hieroglyphs are a modern forgery are contested by numerous Egyptologists like Muhammad Ibrahim and Key Mid-School co-director Yusuf Abdul Hakim I, who has studied ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs his entire life. Source: Muhammad Ibrahim and Yusuf Abdul Hakim I note how the scribes who created the ancient symbols in Australia accurately used several ancient hieroglyphs and grammatical variations which, surprisingly were not even documented in Egyptian hieroglyphic texts until 2012. The translated Gosford glyphs state the following. The Egyptian hieroglyphs on the east wall. 1. For His Highness, the Prince. From this wretched place in this land, where we were carried by ship, engraved for the crown of Lower Egypt, according to God's word. 2. My fellow Egyptians, call out from this place in this strange land, for the god Suti, son of Khufu, king of Upper and Lower Egypt, has brought the god Suti. 3. The prince was kind and benevolent, follower of the sun god Ra. 4. For 2 seasons, 8 months, he directed us eastward. Weary, but strong to the end. Always praying, joyful, and smiting insects. He, the servant of God, said God created the insects to protect His people. 5. I myself am hardened, have gone around hills and deserts, in wind and rain, with no lakes at hand, blessed by the falling nights, when I hide myself completely out of reach. 6. In our last camp I cooked fowl on hand, and brought train, but hurt my back carrying the golden falcon standard, crossing hills, desert and pools of water along the way. 7. Plants are withering, land is dying. Is this our lot from the highest God of the sacred mare? 8. The sun is pouring down upon our back. Almighty Kbara, this is not what the oracle has said. Our hearts are overturned, but not broken. 9. This regal person Nefertiru came from the temple of God in Penu, Egypt. He came from the house of God. He was the son of Khufu, king of Upper and Lower Egypt. 10. He, who died before, is here laid to rest. May he have life everlasting. 11. He is never again to stand beside the waters of the sacred mare. Then clasp him, my brother's spirit, to thy side, O Father of the earth. The Egyptian hieroglyphs on the west wall. 12. The snake bit Weiss. We, followers of the divine King Khufu, mighty one of Lower Egypt, Lord of the 2 Adses. We shall not all return. However, we have to continue, we. 13. All creek and river beds are dry. And we are dismayed. Our boats are tied up with rope. Death was caused by snake. 14. We gave egg yolk from the medicine chest, and prayed to Ammon, the hidden one, for he was struck twice. 15. It was a hard time for all of us, weeping over the dead body, and keeping to the protocol. 16. Seated all aside, our men watched the funeral with concern and deep love. How the mummified body was buried in the red earth section. 17. Then we recovered ourselves. 18. We walled in the side entrance to the chamber, with stones from all around. The chamber was aligned with the western heavens. 19. I counted and impounded the daggers of our men. 20. The 3 doors of eternity were connected to the rear end of the royal tomb. Source of TH translation, Burial Site of Lord Nefertiru, by Dr. Arjanj. Check out these videos which explain the history behind the curious hieroglyphs. What do you think? Does the translation make any sense? And is it really possible that somehow, the ancient Egyptians traveled not only to the American continent but to Australia as well?